Welcome to the Game 2 of Finals from the Chicago Battle Roads at Tapka Comics in Chicago, owned by Jimmy Ballard. And if you haven't watched Game 1, I recommend you do so. And of course, the returning players are Jeremy Adams to the right, Manny Zamudio to the left. Jeremy Adams was the winner of Game 1 with an EO-oriented toolbox deck, and Manny is playing a Empoleon Terrakion deck. Manny elects to go first with starting off with Terrakion, benching a Piplup, and after attaching a fighting energy, he elects to Professor Oak's new theory. Personally, I would have started off with the Piplup. Has only one retreat, and if he would have attached fighting energy to the Terrakion, it could have used the Piplup as bait. Right now, in its active position, the most that Jeremy can expect on Manny's turn 2 is 60. On if he attacks, if he had one of his fighting weak Pokemons out. After Oak's new theory, Manny lays out a Kyurem. I don't know why he would lay a Kyurem. It looks like a liability right now with nothing attached. And with no energy acceleration and no surprise, it's just gonna stay out there and become catcher bait. Jeremy gets a really nice dual heads on a dual ball and gets a Dynamo and a Dunderas. Probably the two best basics this deck could have turn 1. Attaches the Lightning to Dunderas. There it goes. Jeremy plays the catcher and picks the Kyurem. Jeremy is deciding between N and Juniper. Elects the N to save the Juniper and the plus power he's holding in his hand for future purposes. Now Jeremy would like a Sky Arrow Bridge or a switch so he could get Smeargle out of there and then use that Dunderas attack so he could have 2 energies in play after turn 1. So let's see, can he get it? He draws a full art Terrakion, decides to dual ball, gets 1 more heads. Gonna search his deck, probably go for another Dynamo, and there it is. Looks at his hand again. Not only did he get 1 switch, but he got 2 switches. So that's pretty good. Decides to bench a Terrakion. And because he has that switch, a second switch in his hand, he could safely play that Terrakion. Okay, so he got the second energy in play thanks to Dunderas' first attack, and now it's up to Manny to see how he could respond to a very efficient and ideal opener. So he lays another Piplup, evolves into a Prinlup. Attaches an experience share to the Terrakion, and Oaks. He was holding another experience share in hand. I probably would attach it to Kyurem, but since he doesn't have a way to get it out of there, it might be better off just sending it back to the deck. If he never would have benched his Kyurem, he could have potentially just sacrificed one of his Piplups active and then have Terrakion for the respawn knockout. Now with Kyurem in the active position, if he doesn't play any double colorless energies or get a switch, it's just going to be stuck up there for a while. And attaching energies on it will kind of be a waste because it wouldn't really do anything on Kyurem. But all it really is a pseudo attachment to a Terrakion. So he benches another Terrakion, attaches a fighting energy, and decides to pass. Jeremy junk arms away a switch and Oak's new theory to play catcher, catching up the bench Terrakion with the experience share, really good, and decides to Oak new theory. I think this is kind of questionable because unless he could one-shot this Terrakion, I don't really see a point in injuring it. Like he could always weaken it and then weaken it for 80 and only take 60 back from Retaliate if Manny decides to attach an energy on this Terrakion. But if he doesn't put another experience share into play on the bench Terrakion, this is going to be really bad. Because then he'll essentially lose 2 energies and experience share. Let's see, is Jeremy read correct? Manny's farming for cards in his deck, plays the switch. That's pretty good. Hand doesn't look like it has an energy, but does he have a supporter? Look like he doesn't. Ooh, and there it is, man. Manny passes with Terrakion with the energy active, and Jeremy on his turn immediately catches back up the bench Terrakion with the experience share. Drops a plus power to get it out of his hand, so he won't draw it again from this end. And now after knocking out this Terrakion, it's going to put Manny on notice. He didn't have an energy or experience share last time, and he might not get an energy this time. And if he can't retaliate this Thunderous, it's probably almost going to be over on the spot. Okay, Jeremy looked like he has this pleasure of not having drawn any electrics. And knocks out the Terrakion. Draws. Looked like an electric. No, it's a super rod. Manny in his turn drops a Smeargle. His hand doesn't look like there is an energy. Manny communications, sending back a Piplup, probably getting Empoleon. Give himself more draw options. Manny's still in the tank, trying to figure out what to do next. Jeremy notices that Manny has a whole bunch of upside down cards in his deck. So Manny needs a way to get some energies. Decides to dual ball to thin out his deck. Gets 2 heads, pretty good. He could bench one and potentially use that other basic to use Empoleon's ability. Jeremy really needs to either continue the stream of drawing energies or more ideally draw energies and find a way to get electrics into play. So he could get some energies onto his bench Terrakion or his Zekrams. He has a good start, but he needs to keep things going. Manny's still checking his hand. I don't know what's taking so long. If he had a supporter, I probably would have used it much quicker by now. And I'm pretty sure I could have found a card to discard. He elects to discard the Piplup to draw 2. It looks like he got a water energy. This water energy will keep him in the game, but it's still looking grim. Assuming Jeremy's able to actually draw some electrics and then get another attacker going. Alright, Manny Junk Arms. This card's a rare candy. And a Kyurem. To get an experience share, and attaches to the Kyurem. Playing Pokemon Catcher on the Zekrom. And then retaliates it. Alright, Jeremy top decks and slams the electric. That was a gift. definitely a gift. Plays Pokemon Catcher on the Empoleon, attaches to Dunderis, and Super Rods back a Zekrom and a Lightning Energy. Jeremy must believe that Empoleon is a threat for its damage ability right now because he has a full bench and that card drawing potential. So he Oaks, tries to get a new hand. Hopefully a more useful hand. Draws another Electric. Drops a Sky Arrow Bridge. And now he could get that Smeargle out of there. Free retreats the Smeargle thanks to Sky Arrow Bridge and knocks out the Empoleon with the Thunderous. Manny draws for turn. Draws to 3. Attaches a Water to Kyurem. Elects to Portrait, and Jeremy's able to defend the Portrait by not having a supporter in hand, but he has a receiver, so it gives him options during his next turn. Manny quickly retaliates the Thunderous, and Jeremy draws for turn, draws the Zekrom that he shuffled back, and attaches a Eviolite to it. Jeremy random receivers, finds a Juniper. Jeremy's gonna look for a way to get an energy and a plus power on it, and go for the 130 Bolt Strike to knock out the Terrakion. Junk Arms for the plus power, and then Junipers for a fresh hand. Looks like he double Dynamo Motor onto the Zekrom, attaches Lightning from hand. Manny reviews his hand without a supporter. Jeremy free retreats the Smeargle, promotes the Zekrom. Both strikes 130 for the knockout and taking 30 back thanks to the Eviolite and the plus power. Jeremy's up a prize, and it's 3 prize remaining for him, 4 prize remaining for Manny. Manny promotes a Smeargle, draws, attaches a Terrakion, and Junipers. Probably drew the Juniper. His hand seems like a bunch of trainers slash supporters and a water energy. He could attach to Kyurem and Glaciate this turn, but it doesn't solve any of the problems that he's facing. And it's also a threat to another plus power Bolt Strike. Alright, so he Junk Arms. Probably gonna get an experience share for that bench Terrakion. Elects to go for the catcher, and catchers up Jeremy's bench Terrakion. He might be trying to use the strategy Jeremy used earlier to try to use his own big bench Pokemon with high retreat as a wall, so he could probably attack behind it. And hopefully Jeremy don't have any ways to get him out of there. He Portraits, finds an end, and ends. He's gonna have to hope that Jeremy doesn't have a way to get into a switch. Manny draws 4, Jeremy draws 3. That's a pretty good end. He attaches the experience share to Terrakion. Free retreats to Smeargle, promotes Kyurem. Probably going to go for Glaciate behind Jeremy's Terrakion. And there it is. Jeremy draws for turn. Draws to 4. Attaches a fighting to Terrakion and has a supporter. And he's Juniper for 7 cards, and I see a junk arm in his hand and a switch. So that's pretty lucky for him, because another turn or two of glaciating for Manny would have put him right back into the game and potentially win it. So Jeremy junk arms, figuring out what 2 cards he wants to discard. Okay, and it was electric, and another Terrakion grabs a plus power, plays the switch, and now he's able, and it's gonna be goodbye Kyurem. So far, it seems like Jeremy's plan of playing around these Terrakions have been paying off, and is using a bait and switch tactic of knocking out threats on the bench and while conceding the retaliation and then handling the Terrakions. Jeremy looks like double dynamoting to this Terrakion, setting up retreats in case of emergencies potentially. And once again, both strikes for 130 while taking 30 back himself. Experience share from the Terrakion gains a fighting energy. Jeremy goes down to 2 prizes. And Manny promotes a Smeargle and draws for turn. He plays a Professor Oak's new theory. Right now, he's probably too far behind, having 4 prizes left to Jeremy's 2. Like his Kyurem was basically the most realistic way of coming back by being able to spread and knock out 3 Pokemons at once if it survived for 3 Glaciates. He draws. Doesn't look like he have an energy. Portrait, another beautiful portrait defense by Jeremy by not having a supporter. Sometimes you just have to run bad to run good. Shout out to Kyle Pukasukovic, who proved that during the Illinois States. Almost never have a supporter in his hand, but always finds a way to win. Manny dual balls, elects to not find anything. And if he passes here with nothing, this is pretty much it. And there's the shrugging pass. Like this game is winding down. Jeremy attaches a fighting to Terrakion and then Junipers for 7. Getting dangerously close to decking out. Draws another plus power, an Eviolite, and a junk arm. Plays the junk arm. Probably gonna get catcher, finished off this Terrakion. This card an N and something else. Plays the plus power. Probably got catcher. Catchered up to Terrakion. Drop an Eviolite on the bench Terrakion. And kaboom, another 130 and 32 Zekrom. Jeremy goes down to his final prize. Manny draws for turn. The only way he's gonna win this game is by some miracle he decks Jeremy out, or Jeremy makes a colossal penalty and just get disqualified. Junipers for 7. Evolves into Empoleon, but it's probably too little too late. Attaches to it. retreats to Empoleon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Pokemons in play. And it's gonna knock out the Zekrom, doing 50 after Eviolite. Jeremy promotes Smeargle. Does he have a Dunderous or a way to get Zekrom out again? Dinks counts his Pokemon in play. Retreats the Smeargle. Dynamotors one to each Zekrom one to each Electric to prevent them from getting captured up. And he's gonna do 90 on this Empoleon. Manny draws her turn. His Empoleon is pretty much one shot away from any of Jeremy's Pokemons from getting knocked out with his Empoleon. Discards a Dual Ball to draw 2 cards off of Empoleon's effect. Thumbs through a third of his discard pile and decides to put it down. Checks the hand. Right now you can only do 60 damage, and then that damage is gonna be 20 less because of Eviolite, and that'll only be 40. Unless he magically drops 4 more bench Pokemons and double plus powers, there's no way this Terrakion's gonna get knocked out. And then he will be able to just use Land Crush for 90 on either the Smeargle or the Empoleon for game. Manny Junk Arms. Gets a plus power. Universe for 7. Probably, or maybe 6, because it looks like he doesn't have any more cards left in his deck. Plays another plus power, and he's still well short. Plays a random catcher on an Electric and knocks it out. Decides to go out with this game with a bang by knocking out a Pokemon, but was still not enough. And congratulations to Jeremy Adams, our winners of the Chicago Battle Roads at Top Cut Comics. Shout outs again to Jimmy Ballard for running a wonderful event as usual. Shout outs to the Team Dragon Rush crew. And